Hello, Adana here, and now I'd like to talk to you about, how did I phrase it? Materialism and me. Now, this video is about material things and my attachment to it and how that's affected me in my practice and how I've overcome it, because I did have a little issue with it. Now, for this, to really understand it, you'd have to know a little bit of background information, so I'll go ahead and tell you that first. When I was a kid, very, very young, when my parents were still together, we had a lot of stuff. We were spoiled, we had a lot of money, and then my dad got caught doing some stuff he shouldn't have been doing, and he went to prison. And my mom ended up hooking up with one of his friends, and that's who she's still with to this day. So she, been together for 20 years almost with her current boyfriend, my stepfather, Chris. It's a really long time, way longer than she was with my dad. He makes her happy, so it's like whatever now, but the transition from when, after my dad went to prison, everything we had was sold. Everything was gone. All of our toys gone. All of our nice stuff gone. When she started dating Chris, there was no money. None. And on top of it, she was a drug addict and he was an alcoholic, even though he still claims not to be an alcoholic. I think he is personally. I don't think he allows it to run his life like some of the more extreme alcoholics, but I do think he has a drinking problem. Even if it's just mild. So, between them and their habits and their addictions, and them not really having much money, my mom only worked a minimum wage job. She didn't have a high school diploma. Chris worked as a truck driver but couldn't really hold a job for too long, simply because he wasn't willing to drive out of state. It was only local stuff he wanted to do, and there weren't very many openings, and companies went down. He almost always worked under the table, so they could just get rid of him at the drop of a hat, and he couldn't do anything because he's not legally employed by them. Or was. He's legally employed now. So, from the time I was really young when we moved in with him. I was in second grade. From the time I was in second grade and up, I had pretty much nothing. And when I got to a place where I was actually allowed to get things for myself, there was something in my head saying, there's not enough. You need to get what you need now. You need to save it for later, because at some point this is going to be taken away. This is going to be gone, and you will need backups. So it got like that. Not so much with things that I would buy, at the store, decorative things, not like that. But this was more of a problem with things like soap and shampoo, which is nice to have a couple extra. Don't get me wrong, but I started getting a little overboard there for a while. Like with food, I was really obsessive about having enough food, because there were several times, I know I don't look like it, but there were several times when we just wouldn't have food. And when I lived with my mom and Chris, I wasn't allowed to eat out of the cabinet or the refrigerator, because it was his food. I wasn't allowed to cook on the stove because it was his stove. I had to wait for my mother to get home to cook, and if she happened to be out on a 3-day bender, I wasn't allowed to do anything. So that's a different video altogether right there too. That never having anything kind of made me latch on to the things that I did end up getting. So when I would go and I would buy something with the money that I earned from working, I don't know, it was just like, if it broke, if it went missing, if someone took it, if something happened to it, it was like a huge overreaction for me. So I've been working on that. There was a point when I would accumulate things gradually, little by little, and then I would not want to get rid of it. And I recognized, because of the hoarding shows, the beginnings of hoarding, and that kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I decided to work on that while it was in the beginning stages, while I could. So that's what I've been doing lately. it has affected me. It has affected my practice, but only in a small way. Because I tended to accumulate a lot of things like candles and incense. Because I never really want to run out. Well, what's so bad about running out? Really? Now, I know that I don't need those props. There was a time when something in my head was like, oh my god, I don't have an athame, I can't do magic. I don't have a candle, I can't do magic. I don't have this, I can't do it. I know now that I can. It is not about what you have. I can do magic with nothing, and I did magic with nothing for a while to prove to myself that I could, and it works. However, I prefer to have a candle, and I prefer to have incense. Those are the two things that I would love to have, if nothing else. One candle and one incense. Doesn't matter the kind of candle, doesn't matter the kind of incense. Just a candle and incense. Those are my favorite. Well, preferably a match to light it, or a lighter if I have nothing else. But I had a lot of trouble with that, and I've been going through my things and getting rid of things that I don't use, and I've made a lot of progress over this year since I moved in with my boyfriend, and it wasn't until I moved in with him that I really realized how bad it got, and that's when I started working on it. So periodically I go through all my stuff, and if I haven't used it, I put it in a box. There was a box over there next to my altar that it's the Goodwill box. It's everything that I have that works that I'm just going to give to the Goodwill and get rid of. A little bit of everything ends up in that box. I have one of those little iPod pillows, except it's an off-brand. So I think it says iPad instead of iPod or something. Or maybe it's, I don't know. But it's a pillow that you can hook up your MP3 player to, or iPad or iPod or whatever you have. And then it turns into like a small speaker that you lay your head on comfortably and listen to. I haven't used that thing in years. So I finally got rid of it, and I've been going through and just doing that with bits and pieces. I went through my bookcase and got rid of about half my books, which was really hard. I'm a book collector, but I've told myself that if I just need to cut down on the stuff. Stuff does not make me. I had to get rid of a lot of my furniture before I moved in here, and that was really the beginning of it. Because it was just all my stuff I couldn't take with me. I had to give it away. And then once I did, I realized it wasn't the end of the world. So it kind of eased me into where I am now, where I go through the things that I have and get rid of the stuff that I don't need, that I don't want, that I don't use. That's not to say I don't accumulate and buy things that are just pretties, you know, just for display, because I do. But like right now, I am planning on buying candles and a candle holder. However, I plan to use those strictly for magical purposes, because they're the little chime candles. They're about 4 inches tall. They're little tiny candles. And those I'm going to use for candle magic specifically, nothing else. And since they are cheap, 40 cents a candle at 13 moons, I have no problem with this. And at some point I would like to start making my own candles. I'm just not at that point yet, where I have too many things, spreading my energies too far. I can't do everything all at once. I'm going to start with knitting, then move on to candle making. One thing at a time. And besides that, I am not going to start candle making until I run out of candles. Right now, I have 2 tall pillar candles that have not been burned, 2 that are in the process of being burned, about 20 little votives, and about 10 or 11 stick candles. So once I go through all those candles, then I'll get stuff to make my own candles. And I'm hoping that if I have to make it myself, that I will make less, because it costs money to get the ingredients and get it the way I like. And plus I can customize it. I can put the kind of scents I want in there, and my energy will be infused into the candle, which will make it more meaningful to me, especially for magical purposes, and especially for the God and Goddess candle that I like to have, which I might switch to one unity candle. I haven't really decided. other than that, it's the same for incense. I want to burn all the incense that I have. I am getting one new kind of incense though, and that's called moon incense. I wanted an incense that I used specifically for the moon, and up until this point it was the scent called sea, like a sea scent, which is all good and everything. But I don't know, I just really wanted to try that moon incense they had on at 13 Candles, so I'll give that a try. And then once I get rid of all the candles that I have, both cone and stick, I have a lot of them. I probably have over 100 sticks and maybe about 60 cones. Once I get through that, that's when I'll start using herbs for incense, which I really want to do. But at the moment, I want to get through what I have. And I have decided to buy a couple altar tools for myself. But that is just a added bonus, like a little treat, you know. If I end up not using those tools, and I probably will not give them to the Goodwill. I will probably give them away to someone who can use them. So you never know, there might be a free giveaway some point in the future. Well, it hasn't been easy, but I have managed to separate what is necessity, what is not necessity. What is, you know, and coming up with that divider and sticking with it and distancing myself emotionally from items. Whew. It's hard. For me anyway, it was hard. But I managed it. Now there's a couple items that I haven't distanced myself from. And that's my tarot cards and my stones. And I think that's about everything. I have grown attached to the laptop because it's not technically mine, it's my boyfriend's. But it's not the same kind of attachment I have to my tarot cards and my stones. And the attachment I have to my stones and my tarot cards isn't the same kind that I had to the other stuff that I had. The kind of attachment, just because, I don't know, it's just like, I guess when you work with something for so long, you develop a kinship and energy with it. Like, your energy and that energy combined to make a unique vibration. And I like that. I like the vibration that I have with my stones and my tarot cards. So hopefully, with my new pentacle and my new incense holder and my new athame, which I haven't ordered yet, but I plan on doing it soon, with those new things, I hope that I will develop the same kind of kinship, even though I know it will take a time to build that up. And I hope I don't get overly attached to it if something happens to it. Which I know I will. But I don't know, I guess it's okay in my head to get attached to altar items, but I really need to work on getting attached to things like my wine glass set, which I was kind of upset. So they were crystal. They were expensive. I bought them. It was my first set, and then 2 of them broke. I was kind of upset about that. Overreacted a little bit. Same thing with the pitcher, the glass pitcher. I got upset when Justin broke that, but he breaks a lot of my stuff, man. And he's always said, well, I'll buy you another one, but then he never does. And then when I bring it up, he goes on about how he doesn't want to spend money on it. I think that's a different video too. So this is getting long. This is getting to 13 minutes. That is my struggle with materialism. I'm still struggling with it, but I'm doing much better with it. Much better. I've stopped collecting things. I only buy things when they're needed, except for the occasional, you know, treat for myself, like the incense. And I've cut back on the shopping. This is the first time I've actually done shopping, other than when I went with my aunt, which was first time in 2 years with her. First time I actually did any shopping for myself in months, in about 6 months or so, something like that. So, thank you for watching. If you have struggles with materialism yourself, please post. Let's have a conversation. You can do a video response and I'll respond back to you. Even if you make a video response like a year after this is posted, I will still get back to you for it. I will. So comment, message me, whatever. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.